Welcome to the McKinney Podcast, the show that celebrates what makes us unique by nature.
We are proudly hosted and presented by RiskWell and FredShots Photography. Your co-hosts for this wild and crazy adventure are James Jenkins and Fred Mahusay.
The McKinney Podcast is produced in collaboration with the McKinney Chamber of Commerce, McKinney Economic Development Corporation, Visit McKinney, Community Impact Newspaper, and One Heart McKinney.
We are the independent voice of the good people of McKinney. All financial backing is provided by RiskWell and FredShots. Every word you hear on this show are the opinions of James, Fred, and our guests.
We're bringing you the perfect blend of interviews, current events, and hot takes. The only rule here is if it's not happening in McKinney, it's not on the McKinney Podcast. Let's go.
Good evening. My name is Desiree Brown, and I am the twice former chair of this club, and I'm also the former National Young Republican Secretary. And I am very pleased to welcome you all here tonight. In the 10 years that I have been involved with the Collin County Young Republicans, this is literally our biggest event we have ever held. So thank you all for coming, and we could not have done it without y'all's support. We are very excited that all four of the candidates running for mayor immediately accepted our request to, hey, we want to have a debate. Are you guys in for that? All of them immediately said yes, for which we're very gracious, and they are very enthusiastic about getting to speak to you all tonight. I would also like to explicitly thank our sponsors tonight, Stacy Weaver for Collin College Board of Trustees, McKinney Values PAC, Hispanic Republican Club of North Texas, Imperium Roofing, and the Celt, who invites everyone to come across the street after the event for the official after party. Because if you didn't party yesterday, today's a perfect day to get your St. Patrick's Day post on. Furthermore, and she's going to hate that I'm going to do this, but I do want to recognize Shelby Johnston. She is our current chair of our club. She took over the club from me in October because technically I am not a young Republican anymore, sadly. But Shelby literally was the brainchild of this event. She put all of the effort forth to make sure this turned out great for you guys tonight. So please, let's give her a hand. And finally, I am excited to introduce our moderators for this evening. James and Fred are the co-hosts of the McKinney Podcast, a podcast available on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and other streaming platforms that celebrates what makes the city of McKinney unique by nature and a great place to live. So I encourage you all after this to go check out their podcast. They have graciously volunteered to help us tonight, and so it's my pleasure to turn the stage over to them, so please give them a round of applause.
Curveball. All right, we thought the candidates were going to be introduced before we got handed the mics. Is this where I turn into a WWE announcer and just hype up the whole crowd?
Go for it.
And now, standing 6'5". No, I'm kidding. I'm totally not going to do that. No. Candidates, all four of y'all come out here, please. All four of you. All right. Are they back there?
They're coming.
They're coming.
They're coming.
Okay. Now, political debates sometimes can be stuffy, contentious, and difficult. We've all seen stuff on TV, right? Obviously, there'll be certain elements of tonight's conversation, deliberation. Come on out, guys. You're good. That's going to be the case. But before all of that, I wanted to make sure there was an opportunity for some smiles, for some friendliness. And there's a lot of fans of one candidate or another in the audience tonight. Guys, get out from behind these beautifully draped tables right there. Folks, here's your photo opportunity right here. Right here. There you go. Yeah. Now, on behalf of Fred and I, and our wives, Allison and Elizabeth, man, this invitation and being able to participate tonight is really the culmination of one of our big wishing and aspirational things. When we started the McKinney Podcast in episode 1 with George Fuller and everybody else who we've interviewed in the last year, we said in that first episode, you know what, Fred? Maybe someday, if we play our cards right, we just might get an invitation to be a political debate moderator or something. I don't know. And here we are. Shelby, thank you for the invite. Gentlemen, start your engines. Okay, so we drew backstage, and the order, this is a hot mic, by the way. I'm not sure how we can get around that. We both have a mic. That's awesome. No handing back and forth.
Be dangerous.
Okay, we didn't draw out of a hat. I told Dr. Matt that I was not going to ask him to take off his hat because it's warm in that green room and it might be sweaty, and I didn't want anyone else to be drawing sweaty names out of a hat. That's kind of gross. So, yeah. Scott Sanford drew first, and then Dr. Matt Rostami, and then Mr. Bill Cox, and then Mr. Taylor Willingham. The way this is going to work, folks, we will have a reverse order of the closing statement. So, Mr. Sanford will go last, then Dr. Rostami will go third, then Mr. Cox will go second, and Mr. Willingham will go first in the closing statements. So, Mr. Sanford, if you will, sir. You've got your own mic.
I do.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's go.
Thank you. And we want to start out by thanking the organizers and the sponsors. Could y'all give them a big hand? Thank you all for making this possible for us tonight, for our community. My name is Scott Sanford. Thought I'd let you know a little bit about myself. We've been in McKinney about 27 and a half years, and we absolutely love McKinney. When I say we, it's my wife and I. My wife is here, Shelly, 37 and a half years. And yes, please, that will help. And my daughter, Lauren, is here as well. And she's not just my daughter, she's also the mother to 2 of my 3 grandchildren. So we really appreciate her. And then my mom, Jimmy, is here as well. Thank you guys for being here. And we do adore McKinney. A little background on myself is that Shelly and I met at Baylor, and we each have 2 business degrees from Baylor University. I have my CPA, and then I worked in public accounting with Ernst & Winnie, which then merged and became Ernst & Young. Then I did some entrepreneurial things, small business items, until I was called into ministry. And at that point, 29 years ago, I became executive pastor at Cottonwood Creek Church, where I handle all the business aspects of the church, be it facilities, accounting, budgeting, legal, real estate, HR, communications, you name it, those follow under my purview. And during that time, I was able to serve this area, McKinney and surrounding communities, as its state representative in the legislature of Texas for 10 years. We love McKinney, and I'm running for mayor because we absolutely love the idea that it's cool to love your neighbor in McKinney, Texas. We absolutely love that. And also because we're at this exciting crossroads of history in McKinney with great opportunity in front of us, where we can embrace the vitality of the new while retaining all of the charm of the old. So let's get together and let's make that happen, and let's keep McKinney the place where it's cool to check on your neighbors, and let's start new businesses and raise families. So thank you for being here. God bless.
It's a good time to let the candidates know, in case, I think we said it before, but just to reiterate, the timer is in front of you on that TV screen out there, and you should see some color-coded things, but you have 10 seconds left.
Hi, my name is Dr. Matt Rostami, or Dr. Matt, according to my patients. And, it's a pleasure being here with you guys here tonight. I'm an eye surgeon by trade. I have an office in Frisco. I live in McKinney. My wife is an intelligence officer in the U.S. Army Reserves. And, we've been there for 1.5 years now. And I lived in all over Collin County. I lived in Frisco, lived in Plano, but I finally settled in the best city in Collin County, in my opinion, which is McKinney. And the reason I'm running is because I want to keep McKinney the way it is. I want to keep it safe. And that's where my priorities start. Safety first. If it's not safe, you don't want to live here anymore, you don't want to have your business here anymore. And that's my top priority. And this is where I get in a little bit of trouble, because what I'm going to say next is no growth. Now, when I say that, people freak out. They're like, what is this guy talking about? Is he going to take us back to the Stone Ages? What I'm saying is this, is that a government official, as the representative of the city, It's not my job to grow the city. My job is to keep it safe and clean, and businesses will come here naturally. When I started my medical practice in Frisco, I didn't meet with the city council. I didn't meet with the mayor. I didn't ask the city for a grant or a subsidy. I knew I would be the first retina surgeon in Frisco, so I opened up my practice and the people started coming in. And that's how I see businesses growing in McKinney as well. Let the free market decide, bring your products and your services here, and we'll see who the winner is. The other thing I like to talk about is I'm going to lower property taxes. Every year you guys see the rate comes down, but you still pay more in taxes. Why? Because the property values go up, and no one wants to talk about it, but your property values have to stay the same, or dare I say, come down. And again, you say these things, and people freak out, but I have to be honest with you. You want an airport expansion, you want an amphitheater, you want a water park, but that stuff is all going to increase property values, which will increase property taxes and bring traffic and other problems. I'm the only candidate running without spending or raising any money. That's why I don't have a sign here today. But I think I have the right message, and with the right message, I think I can walk the walk of a candidate who doesn't want to spend money or doesn't collect money from the people and can prove that money doesn't run politics. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Bill Cox. I'm a native of McKinney and a third-generation McKinneyite, third generation of small business and a third generation of volunteering and serving this community. It's the only place I've lived. It's the only place my parents lived, and it is a special place. There's only one McKinney. If you have lived here very long, you get it. You understand what McKinney is. It's a special place. At one time, we were a small town, and we're not a small town anymore. We can no longer think like we're a small town. And many of you in this room understand that. And those of you that are new to McKinney, I encourage you to embrace what this city is. It is a wonderful place. It is a wonderful experience. We were McKinney High School graduates back in the day. That's very special. To say that you are a McKinney Lion. This is in my family's heart. This is not me running by myself. This is a group of people behind me that nobody sees. But if you look at the history, look at the lineage of what our families are, you'll see it's an obvious decision for me to, at this time, run for mayor. It's a very special place. It is, again, deep in my heart, and I'm honored to be up here representing not only me, but the three generations of our family. I've seen it when it was a small town, and I've seen what it is now, and I understand completely what it will take to take McKinney to the future. Thank you all for being here tonight. Now let's have some fun.
Good evening. I'm Taylor Willingham, and my message is simple. Change is coming. This world is going to see things it's never seen before, and it's going to hit this community significantly in the next couple of years. I'm already seeing it in my business. And the three major things that I want people to understand that are going to happen over the next 4 years is, number one, there is going to be significant economic upheaval. We have too many significant issues that are going on today that need to be addressed and are going to affect this city. Number two, we have demographic shifts that we've never seen before. 1 in 36 kids that are born today are born with autism. In addition to that, we have baby boomers that are retiring at record rates. But the third issue is going to be the most pressing and the most difficult that McKinney is going to have to deal with. And that issue is that AI is going to take, or could take, 50% of all white-collar jobs over the next 4 years. It is already starting to do that. It is going to be a significant challenge for this city and what we have to face and what we have to do. One of my favorite quotes of all times is, impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way is the way. There is solutions for what is going to happen, but it's going to be painful. There's going to be things that are going to happen, that need to happen in order for us to go through this fourth industrial revolution. My goal is to help McKinney navigate that path and get to the other side. I've done it with my businesses over the last 15 years. I have run 2 small businesses in the city. I've employed over 100 people in the city. And I've had to weather the difficult situations that have come in the economy that has happened. This is my message. Change is coming, and we need to prepare.
Okay, so for tonight, are we on? Check 1, 2, 1, 2. Are we sounded? Are we up? We're good over here. Check 1, 2. Can you hear me? No. Should we go to the other mic? Try it. Oh, I'm pretty shouting. All right, there we go. All righty. Okay. All right. And thank you to our sound crew this evening. We understand that there's a lot of moving parts here, so we want to thank you for that. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We appreciate that you have taken your time out of your campaign schedule and your business lives to meet with us here tonight. And what we want you to know is that tonight's going to be in 2 phases. The first part is the group question phase, where we're going to present questions. Actually, all the questions we're presenting tonight were curated from an online poll that we did through McKinney Cares online. So all these questions have been publicly submitted. And we know that there are some people out here that you absolutely love your one candidate up here, and we want you to support them. At the same time, we ask that when one of the other candidates is speaking, if you don't agree with them, we ask that you please keep your disagreement, to yourself, so that we give everybody a fair opportunity.
Well, that takes the fun out of it.
Can we do that?
That takes the fun out of it.
Okay.
Now, hold on a second. That's not what we agreed to. You guys can clap and cheer and boo all you want. If you speak a word, there's some very scary men wearing bulletproof vests and holding guns that they might be asked to escort you out of the building if you cause a disruption. But by all means, please show enthusiasm for your candidates. If somebody says something you like, cheer for it. If somebody says something you don't like, then feel free to boo them enthusiastically. Enjoy the debate, folks.
All righty, here we go. McKinney continues to be one of the fastest growing cities in the country, bringing both new opportunities and unique challenges. As the city grows, leadership will play a critical role in shaping the kind of development that defines our future. Gentlemen, what is your vision for McKinney's economic development, and how will you ensure that growth benefits all residents while preserving the character of our city?
Well, I'll just say that, sorry, Taylor, that we have got to congratulate the great stuff that the city of McKinney does today in building a culture that is friendly to small businesses, small retail outlets, all the way up to huge multinational publicly traded conglomerates. And so that culture is a part of our fabric. And that needs to continue with incubators, with links and chamber events. So congratulations to McKinney on making that happen. A great culture for businesses from small to large. One of the things that we would do under, if I were mayor though, is when there's economic development involved in the term of your taxpayer dollars, your dollars are being used in a development, which happens all the time. Sometimes you don't even know about it, don't hear about it, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to communicate clearly, but also we're going to do the math and we're going to show the math. And if we can't establish a timeline of benefit for you, the current residents and taxpayers of McKinney, that project is a no-go.
So growth is inevitable. I talk a good talk, we're going to stop it, or it's not going to be no growth, but we understand it's inevitable. And when I moved to McKinney, I didn't move here because they said they were going to expand the airport. I didn't move here because they said there was going to be an amphitheater. I didn't move here because they said there was going to be a water park. I didn't move here because of any of this stuff. I moved to McKinney because it was close to my job, it was within my budget, and it was safe. And that's how most people operate. Let's be honest. Only 10% of people are going to vote in city council elections. And then, out of that 10%, you guys are here. We're not really representing the entire city. In fact, we're the weirdos here in this place right here. I'm the biggest weirdo. I'm one of the candidates. But that's how growth comes naturally. But what I would say is, as a mayor, I would not approve, for example, giving Raytheon $9 million of a loan that's forgivable if they keep all their employees until 2027. I'm not going to give your taxpayer money for something like that. They should come here on their own money.
Just for point of order, if the candidates until the closing statements, for the sake of time, would stay behind your lecterns, please. Mr. Willingham, you're good.
All right. So I liked one thing that Matt said at the very beginning, and that was that he didn't ask for any money to open a business around here. I didn't do that either. And it is very difficult for people to compete in industries when money is given to certain companies and individuals. Now, we have funds to do this and to encourage growth. And so there has to be significant financial gain to the city and for the citizens in order to do that. One of our biggest issues that I see that is happening all the time is certain areas are financially benefited by the city where the city doesn't get the tax dollars back. That needs to change. We should not be financing certain areas and certain situations and certain businesses when the city doesn't clearly get any benefit for those gains that certain businesses are getting. I think everybody in this audience should take some time to go out and see how much money is given for different projects to kind of see what's going on. Now, there's a lot of money to give out. The city is collecting a lot of money. All of you guys are experiencing it because you pay your taxes. But that is my position.
Mr. Cox.
It's important that we work with our economic development partners, and that's not only the EDC, but others in McKinney to entice companies to move here. This is bigger than a new building with a company that makes widgets. This is about people buying homes, going to school, buying clothes, food, automobiles, everything that's involved in owning a home and being a resident of McKinney. Economic development is more than tax breaks and rebates. It's much bigger than that. It's about people moving to McKinney and learning what McKinney is and having a great job and paying taxes. That's what it's about.
Thank you for our 20 seconds back.
You're welcome.
This next question is not the least bit controversial. I'm sure we all completely agree on it. The McKinney National Airport has seen significant investment. You don't need a boo.
Are they allowed to boo us?
I don't know if you can boo me. Shelby, we didn't declare if they can boo us or not. They can boo us?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let me jump on the airport here real quick. So
May I get my question out first? Is that okay?
We'll give you first answer.
You can answer first.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, we have a process, Bill. Come on. The McKinney National Airport has seen significant investment and attention as a potential driver of regional economic growth. As conversations about expansion continue, the community is weighing the benefits alongside concerns like noise, traffic, environmental impact, and such. Here's the question. What is your position on the proposed expansion of McKinney National Airport, and how would you, as mayor, balance economic opportunity with the concerns of residents and the broader community?
Mr. Cox.
Oh, wow. 1 minute. Okay. This airport was opened in 1979, so fast forward to 2023. The citizens said no to a $200 million bond election to fund expansion of the airport. A clear, resounding no. That needs to be heard. We need to understand what the citizens said. So our current council is looking at other ways. They heard what the citizens said. They've dropped the idea of taxpayer-funded expansion. The proposal being talked about now is a $75 million terminal, 3 to 5 gates, and it will be funded with economic development funds and community development funds and potentially low-interest loans from the federal government. No one up here has seen the documents. No one knows what's in there. So to say you've got an accurate picture of the deal, you don't have an accurate picture of the deal.
Time. For the Okay. Thank you. The timer, it's actually 2 minutes for the first main answer, not 1 minute. There may be some timekeeper issues there. That's what we agreed on, right? 2 minutes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page here. Would you mind changing it to 2 minutes, please? Okay. Mr. Cox, would you like an additional minute? To be fair?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So again, to say someone has an accurate picture of all of the facts based on what the public knows is not a wise decision. I assure you that once we are in office, we will stop and look at the documents and understand what's in there. We have to make it what's best for the citizens of McKinney. What we do know, the city owns the airport. It is a city-owned asset, just like buildings in downtown, just like this building we're in. The city owns this building. So it's our obligation to make city assets the best they can be, whatever type property that is. We owe it to the citizens, and that's a mesh right there. We owe it to the citizens to be the best it can be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, do we want to popcorn this? Do you just want to go in some kind of order? How do you guys want to do it?
I can go next.
All right, we're just going to popcorn it then.
Okay. So the airport is really the problem with the airport is it's really not that big of a benefit just for the citizens of McKinney. It is a benefit for Collin County, but the citizens of McKinney are the ones asked to financially front the bill. Here's some of the bills that we've been asked. $25 million to purchase it back in 2013. 2018, we spent $22.5 million to buy 190 acres. In 2018, we spent another $16.8 million to move the project forward. In 2019, it was another $1.5 million of an expansion. Another $5.2 million in 2024. And of course, now we just have put $72 million. Now I understand a lot of that is federal grant money that they say that's going to be contributed back. But the reality is the federal government is running into more significant problems that it's having to fund different projects. The reality is this needs to be a project that the McKinney residents aren't the one holding the bag if it goes bad. The county, if the county wants to get together and do stuff, then they can talk about it. But Bill does bring up a good point. It's already done. Now we can't have it fail because then we'll be holding the bag for it. So there are things that we need to do to move it forward and make sure that it ends up being a good project because contracts have been signed. My last point, when the voter said no, as a council member, as a mayor, you stop. You do not continue to move forward and push something that people don't want.
I'm also against the airport expansion. Thank you. And I went to candidate orientation, and they spoke to us about the airport expansion, and they talked about we're going to make this terminal for Encore, we're going to make this U.S. Customs office for Toyota to bring their stuff in, and just all talking about how it's going to benefit the businesses. I barely heard any mention about how it's going to benefit you, the citizens, the residents of McKinney. You know, they talk about bringing more businesses, more people. Yes, it will also increase your property values, which will bring up your property taxes, which will also bring up your traffic. And they mentioned the studies of like TxDOT. TxDOT studies have been wrong in the past. In 2015, with the LBJ expansion, they said it was going to ease traffic. When they opened up the lanes, the traffic got worse. They got worse because they didn't account for all the expansion. They didn't account for the ride shares that was happening. So they keep telling you it's going to be okay, but then when you actually think about it, how will it help you? They say we can't expand DFW. Why? The city of Atlanta Airport is the busiest airport in the world. Only one airport for 7 million people metroplex. Same in DFW. They have 5 runways. We have 7. DFW has the second largest landmass of the airport in the entire country, number 2 after Denver. So just be honest. Just tell us it's not for the people, and just tell us it's to bring more businesses here. And yes, it will bring money. It will increase the property values. That's true. But you will be paying more property taxes. And for what? And then they say it won't cost us anything. The CDC money, this is the Community Development Corporation, is funded by your sales tax. This is not free money. It's taxpayer money. And that part of it is a grant. On the other side, they're going to use a few million for the EDC, and they're going to get a TIFIA loan from the federal government. It's still a loan. It's not like that sweet loan Raytheon got from us that gets forgiven. We still got to pay it back. And then for the rest of the $14 million, they say they're going to get a grant from the federal government. And when I was in candidate orientation, they even said, they're like, if we can't get it, we have to go into the TERS and take the rest of it out. So it's going to cost us all money. It's not free.
We get asked this all the time, everywhere we go. And we were at a candidate roundtable that the chamber had sponsored, and I got to a particular table, and of course, the airport question came up, and I asked, why is the question being asked? Why is it being asked everywhere we go? And I was across the table from Pastor Charles Watley of St. Mark's Baptist Church over there on Highway 5, and he said, because it's dividing our community. And that's sad. And then we learned a little bit later that, actually, we were all together, it was about 11 days ago. We learned that today, the airport is profitable. It is generating operating income. But the day that the passenger terminal is built, we shift into money-losing territory. And that's not yet defined, but we do know the source of the funds to make up those losses, and those will be taxpayer dollars to subsidize those losses, your dollars. And I think that since there is so much question and there's so much division, that it would be only reasonable for there to be a pause put on the development of the passenger terminal to allow the new mayor and the new council time to see the numbers and the documents. Let's determine if there is actually a return on investment. And once we're able to see those things and the direction that it's going, re-engage the public and see if the public has changed their mind, if the taxpayers have changed their minds. But this thing is too big. The impact of this development will span decades, far beyond my lifetime. It's too big. It's too important to rush.
Now, this is probably a good time for me to let the candidates know you can, in fact, engage with each other if you so choose. If we get through the airport question with no debates, I mean, we could just all go home, right? So, you guys want to get into it at all, or are we going to move on? Fight, 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 fight.
I think we all made our positions pretty clear. I mean,
What kind of fun is that, Dr. Matt? Come on. Fred, next question.
All righty. Okay. Well, related to that, McKinney will continue to grow, and so does the demand on our infrastructure, from the water supply and the roadways to public transportation, and even planning out to the ETJ, the extraterritorial jurisdiction. Strategic decisions now will shape how well our city can sustain and support these future generations. So we want to know, how do you plan to address McKinney's long-term infrastructure needs, including water, transportation, and growth coverage support of the ETJ, while ensuring responsible and sustainable development?
Here, Taylor, you want that?
I can jump on it.
Let's do it.
So infrastructure is the purpose of why you have a city government. It is to provide those type of services. It is not to be funding businesses. Now, we allow that under the law because there is the sales tax with the EDC and the MCDC. But the reality of the point is the primary focus needs to be on infrastructure. I have talked about this repeatedly with people, that one of my biggest concerns is the fact that in 2021, in February, we were 4 minutes and 37 seconds away from the total grid failure in the state of Texas. If that would have happened, it would have taken 2 weeks to a month to turn the water back on. If that would have, or to turn the power back on. If that would have happened, water would have turned off. That would have resulted in tens of thousands of deaths. We were this close. It's shocking that nothing really has been done to resolve that issue because people keep saying it's too expensive to fix this issue. It is not. It is a focus and a priority to get it done. We have to make sure that infrastructure works because all this is fun and we can talk about amphitheaters and airports and everything, but if water doesn't flow, if people can't get back and forth, this city doesn't function. It has to be the focus and the priority. Right now, the focus is on these big projects, amphitheaters. I feel like we're Rome right before the collapse. We're building cathedrals everywhere, stadiums. It's like, let's focus on what actually needs to be done. These other projects should be done by businesses, and handled mostly by the businesses that are trying to come in here and grow whatever profits they want to make.
Mr. Cox.
So transportation, someone mentioned 380. Yeah, that's probably the one that touches most people in this room. What we need to do is figure out a way for our state legislature to work with us on funding, speeding up the process of some of our roads. We as a city are so far behind, I'm not sure we'll ever catch up. It's important that we as city leaders work with TxDOT and the legislature in helping them understand the critical place we are with our transportation. It's important that we work with property rights. If you own property in the ETJ, you have certain rights. However, we as a city need to protect who we are and what we are. We need to find a way to work together. Both sides sit down in a room and figure out how does the ETJ rights work with the city of McKinney and them protecting what they own. That includes roads, water, sewer, fire protection, police protection. Regarding water, we need to work, we as a city work with North Texas, the Municipal Water District, to come up with a 50-year plan. Currently, we're on a 30-year plan. That's great, but we're growing at a rate faster than 30 years. We need to get out in front of it. We have excellent representation at the Water District. Those are really, really smart people. We need to get in a room and sit down with those folks and figure out a long-term plan for water. That is not an option. Water is critical to everything that we do.
Dr. Rostami.
So as far as water, we actually do a pretty good job here in McKinney. As far as non-revenue water loss, for us, we're at 8%. Non-revenue water is like the water that doesn't get charged by the city when you try to flush out a hydrant or it just leaks out. So we're at 8%. It used to be like as high as like 26% back in 2014. So we're doing really good, actually. And the state average is at 17%. And that's great. And we spoke with the guys at the water during the candidate training, and they told us, like, you're never going to get it down to 0, which we understand, but you get it down to 5, that'd be great. At least we're not like Mesquite. Those guys are at 25% non-revenue water. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're showering with the fire hydrants out there or something. But we're not at that point. And what I would also do is that if the water folks tell me, like, hey, listen, because this was actually a thing the city manager said, people were like turning on their tubs because they thought it would help with like decreasing their pipes from exploding or something. He's like, that's counterproductive. I get there, I use my platform as a mayor and tell them, like, guys, cut it out. It's not working. Because we all need to work on this together as far as the water stuff. As far as public transportation, I'm not looking to bring any darts here. I'm not looking for any mass transit. We have all sorts of stuff going on here that you wouldn't even know about. Like, for example, the city subsidized Lyft rideshare for people who are 80% of AMI, average median income. That comes to $82,000 a year for a family of 4. Now, I know some of you are like that. I qualify. Please, don't use the system. We're already at where we need to be. We're trying to, I say bring it down to 50 so people who actually really need to use it. As far as ETJ, listen, these guys are living outside the city limits, but there's still costs from us because of the roads, and they're not paying the city tax. So we need to find a way to tell them, like, hey, you need to come in here, not do a town hall. Tell them, like, listen, we got an awesome police department, awesome fire department. What I wouldn't do is that, some developers who are now candidates will say things like, if you buy a house in the ETJ, it's cheaper than buying it in McKinney. That's true, but don't tell them that. I don't want them to know that. They'll say that, if you build something in ETJ, the city can't take it. That's true, but don't tell them that. We have to find a way to bring them in, not for them to want to stay out.
Thank you, Dr. Rostami. Mr. Sanford.
I'll give you some time back on this one because water and infrastructure are completely essential. The government should focus like a laser beam on its core services, and we engage as governments all across this country in way too many pet projects, way too many ancillary non-core services, so we need to focus like a laser beam on these issues. The good news is right now the state is updating its water plan, its statewide water plan, and it will roll up all of these regional water plans into one. The North Texas Municipal Water District has its plan. It will roll up. We're a member of that, and we will have to continue our collaborations and our strong relationships with member communities and the fine people that do work in the North Texas Municipal Water District. However, there will be a race for funds from the state because they're going to put billions of dollars from the rainy day fund into the water plan. And then the communities will be able to apply for those grants, particularly for aging infrastructure and leaky pipes. And because of my state and federal relationships, because of my colleagues that I've served with over the 10 years that I was in the legislature, I believe we'll be well positioned to communicate the needs of McKinney to the State Water Board.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford. Shelby, point of order. We're running about 6 minutes behind agenda. You good if we do both remaining questions? All right, cool. Thank you. She's actually in charge. Like when I'm at home, my wife's in charge. I'm not actually in charge of anything. So Shelby is where the buck stops. If it seems like Fred and I are deferring to her, it's because we are. All right. So the next question is for attainable housing. And I will say this is different from affordable housing. Point of order for the audience. We are defining affordable housing as any sort of government subsidized housing, Section 8 being the most common example. Attainable housing, moreover, is a measure of average home price compared to average median household income for a given municipality. So, very important distinction. Sounds like it's in the weeds, it's really not. We're talking about attainable housing, candidates. As home prices and rents rise across North Texas, many McKinney residents, including teachers, first responders, and young families, are finding it harder to afford to live in the community they serve and work and love. Attainable housing has become a key issue in preserving McKinney's diversity and its character. What specific steps would you take to increase attainable housing options in McKinney without compromising neighborhood integrity or overburdening the infrastructure we just got finished talking about?
I'll start again. All right, so what does attainable housing mean? So attainable housing under HUD is that you are only spending about 30% of your family's gross income in order to pay on a mortgage on a house and to pay your taxes and insurance and all the other stuff. Well, in McKinney, the average family or the median family is $120,000 a year. If you run the math, that means that a attainable house for the average person is $300,000. It's currently the median house price at $488,000. That's 39% overvalued, okay? That's called a housing bubble. We are in a housing bubble, and it's going to pop, okay? It will come down because the market has to adjust to it. There are certain things that are being done by the federal government right now to keep it afloat. For example, about 1 million mortgages that right now are being paid for by the federal government and not told to the citizens. And if all those were to hit the market right now, it would be a worse disaster than 2008. So our housing bubble will burst, it will come back down, and the housing will become more affordable. Now, I understand this issue very well in the sense of in 2009, I was studying for the bar to come out into this world. I had a job offer to come to McKinney. That's why we're here. It was rescinded. When I got here, I didn't have a job. All right? We were able to get a home because housing in McKinney was so cheap. If prices don't come down, our children really do not have a future. We need to make sure that we have an environment where housing is affordable for people so they can have a life. And that's my time.
Dr. Rostami.
As far as attainable housing, I can't directly affect the prices of the houses, but what I can do is stop them prices from going up by bringing in all these expensive projects that they're trying to bring to the city. That's what I can do. You want to bring in the amphitheater? Well, the amphitheater is going to cost money, and it's going to cost not only taxpayer money, but it's also going to bring the values of the properties up in your area, which is going to make it more expensive. And if you're a renter, well, guess what? They kick the property taxes down to you. And then on top of that, they say the good things about the amphitheater, that it will bring 1,300 jobs. For who? Our unemployment rate is 3.6%. We're under the national average. We're not looking to quit our jobs and go work for the amphitheater. They're bringing people in. They're going to take those jobs, and they're going to compete with you for houses, and the prices of houses are going to go up more. So they keep saying growth, but it sounds good to say it, but you really got to think about it, like how is it going to benefit me? And a lot of times it doesn't. And nobody wants to talk about these issues because it's just like this intrinsic thought that the city has to endlessly grow. No, it's about balancing the budget. And as far as attainable housing, that's really as far as the leverage it goes to what you can do. But I want to talk about the homeless situation because it's something that we don't want to talk about often. And it's an issue. I spoke with the firefighters. We were at the Samaritan Inn yesterday, and they were telling us about it. And I'm not going to tell you there's a government solution. You give me your money, I'll fix it. We've seen that fail in Austin and Los Angeles. They have even more government involvement. The solution is that all of us as a community have to come together and go talk to the homeless one-on-one and try to get them jobs and get them back on their feet. And yes, the fire department and the people at the Samaritan told me some people want to be homeless. It's their lifestyle choice. We can't save them. But for the ones who want to be saved, we should all work as a community to try to help them.
You guys want to flip a coin?
Bill looks ready.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Scott. You look ready.
All right.
Well, thank you. You look around and demographically in the city of McKinney, you pretty quickly can notice a demographic change or a demographic need. We're missing out on those young families and those kids running around the neighborhoods, and the elementary school enrollments are dropping. And so there is an issue with people being able to afford a home. Now, too many times government gets involved in projects like this or efforts like this, and invariably prices will then just inflate like crazy. Just look at the healthcare system or the higher education system. When government gets involved, inflation goes crazy in that sector. But McKinney has some very special minds and some very special hearts for people that need attainable housing. We know who they are, the McKinney Housing Finance Corporation, the McKinney Land Trust. They're always looking at innovative approaches. And I think our focus really needs to be moved towards a bigger picture of not only how can we find an affordable house for young families, but how can we encourage them to generational wealth? What public policies can we put into place that will get them down the road so 10 or 20 years down the road that they have a nice little nest egg? And the way in America that's done is by home ownership. So encouraging people to rent or to continue to rent does nothing for their net worth. However, if we can make policies and zoning changes and infrastructure investments that will allow for more attainable, more lower priced lots and houses to be built, then that family will begin to accrue generational wealth, and we will have done them a great service, and our community will benefit from the balance as well.
Mr. Cox.
Thank you. Attainable housing is not only an issue in McKinney, it's all over the country. We see it here because we live here. Since COVID, some prices have doubled. And that's a challenge if you are a teacher and a firefighter and a police officer, or you're in the service industry. How do you make those ends meet? How do you make a home attainable? Here's what I do know. Families are built to live in homes. Hear me. Families are meant to live in homes and not apartments. So we need to figure out a way to come together and make homes more affordable. We cannot control interest rates. The market for land prices is up just like construction costs. We get together with the contractors, the property owners, and figure out a way to help our businesses continue to hire employees, to help our school district to continue to hire good teachers, our police and fire to hire the right amount of police and fire. We want our employees to live in McKinney versus in another city because they can't afford to live here. We have to do that. It's not an option. Thank you.
You have some time left. Are there anything specific that you want to bring up as a policy initiative, ideas? I didn't hear a full-throated answer there, so I want to, if there's anything more specific you want to get into.
Yeah, there's some programs that we could pull together. There's a workforce program we could pull to help with housing. We could, again, work with developers. Would probably be the quickest way to help lower cost. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
Thank you.
All right, so many of you touched Many of you touched on the fact that we have a lot of growth and ordinances regarding zoning, and it does shape the lives of our McKinney residents from what can be built and where, and this will also affect how our neighborhoods evolve. And many in the community have called for greater transparency in and a stronger voice in how those decisions are made. So how would you approach reforming McKinney's zoning and ordinance processes to improve that transparency, to enhance stakeholder trust, and ensure meaningful citizen input is truly reflected in our city's decisions?
Y'all take zoning. Yeah. There was a proposal 3 or 4 years ago to rezone properties on Highway 5 or McDonald Street or Greenville Avenue, depending on how long you've been here. One side said we should consider forced rezoning, and that's not something that we ended up doing. And then the next option was, let's have the citizens involved in the process of rezoning properties to change some of the uses on Highway 5. We've also had this conversation on Highway 75. At the end of the day, it is communication with our property owners and communication with our developers as far as what zoning looks like. The main input would be from the property owners and also those proposing a rezone from one use to another.
Government overreach. Scott.
Yep.
I'm not sure that McKinney has a long history of smart planning, smart zoning, consistent development practices. And I think unfortunately, we do see the results of that in some hodgepodge of developments. A lot of flipped zoning, a lot of weird zoning, and of course, it appears to be a whole lot for multifamily as well. And there were probably a lot that were flipped from commercial or PD, planned development, over to multifamily. So reform would be great, but you know what would be greater? Is a culture change. Reform is good, but culture is great. What if we had a culture in the city operations, the city government, including the planning and zoning, of transparency, of active listening, of communicating actively with the people? If we do that over time, we're going to be building trust. And we'll find ourselves, after years of practice at this, not trying to be transparent. We'll be transparent. And we will be positive because it's in our culture. And we'll be then unique by nature.
So this transparency issue can be solved in 2 days. So if anybody's in the city of McKinney, you can do this right now. In 2 days, you can take the whole website, all the information that McKinney has, and you can put it to an AI, and it can answer any question for anybody that wants to know anything that's going on in the city of McKinney. The technology exists. It's here right now. We can be completely transparent with everything that's going on if we just know what's out there and the tools that are available to do it. The hardest part, as dealing with running for mayor has been for me, is finding the information. It is very difficult to get on the websites and go through and try to analyze and put everything together. It's easy to make that possible for everybody now. As simple as pushing a button and you can talk into your phone and it can answer any question for you immediately of what's going on. But you have to put the database together and put it into the system. Technology's there. We can solve the problem immediately. Solution is right before us. That's the beauty of technology today. Are so many things that we've struggled with in the past can easily be solved now.
Dr. Rostami.
So as far as transparency, a lot of that stuff is on the websites. The minutes are there, the recordings are there. So what I would encourage is that we all come together and just take a look at it. If you have any concerns, bring it up. This is the issue. And the problem is that you guys talk about, a lot of people they don't want apartment complexes. Okay, well, you keep voting for a developer, you're going to get more apartments. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Okay? So, all right, yeah, go ahead. Music to my ears. Go ahead. Keep going. Yeah, that's not fine. But, what I would recommend is in the federal government, if you want to be Secretary of Defense and you worked in the military before, you have to get a waiver. It's because there's a conflict and we want civilian control. What I would recommend, if you want to sit on the PNZ and you're a developer, you need to get a waiver. Now, some people will say, oh, that's redundant. He already has to get 1 vote from city council. Good, get 2 votes. Get 2 votes, so that way people have to think and wonder, well, why did he need 2 votes to get on PNZ? Why wasn't it just 1 vote? So we want to have more transparency about zoning. You need to get more involved. But that is one proposal that I would recommend to try to get a control of this so people know what's going on exactly.
Mr. Cox? Audience, please keep your comments to yourself. Thank you. Mr. Cox, your response?
I think, I know the experience that I have in what I do as a professional real estate broker uniquely qualifies me to serve on P&Z and to understand zoning and what zoning is in McKinney. Amen. That's it.
Fair enough. All right. So everything was remarkably well behaved in the first half. I think we can all agree that, right? Everybody did exactly what you expect them to do. I got to say, all 4 of these guys did a great job articulating their own unique perspective, right? Let's give them an applause. Come on, let's go. Okay, that was the easy part. This is now the hard part. Let me set the stage here, because you might think I'm a bit of a jerk for what's about to happen to these guys. Fred and I sat down and thought, what is the best way to let each candidate address the common attacks made against them from their opponents, from the supporters of their opponents, from the comment section, etc. What better way to give all 4 of them an opportunity to refute in their own words the things that are commonly used against them. So that is what's going to happen in the second half of the debate. And guys, let's get a little feisty if you want to. Feel free to jump in. If one of your opponents says something that you don't feel like is a fully valid answer, feel free to challenge them as you see fit, respectfully, of course, and let's get after it. Just as before, we're doing 2 minutes and then 30 seconds, right? I think so. I'm pretty sure that's what we're doing. I got the thumbs up from the guy over there in the tie. I'm not wearing a tie, so I listen to people that are wearing ties. There you go. You got the first one, right? I have the first one. Brett doesn't have the first one. All right. We're going to do this in order. 1 question for each candidate, and then a second question for each candidate. This one's for Bill Cox. Mr. Cox, past legal matters can raise questions about judgment and public trust, particularly when they involve financial dealings and leadership roles. How do you respond to concerns about the 2008-9 legal settlement and allegations of a $50,000 pay-to-play scheme? And what would you say to voters who question your integrity or decision-making based on that history?
So in 2008, 2009, the city was negotiating with a company out of California to develop the northeast corner of 75 and Highway 121. That developer, as time went on, failed to fulfill their part of the contract. So the city in that contract had a language that allowed the city to go back in and claim the assets, the property in the contract if the contractor went in default. So they defaulted. The city sued the contractor from California. The contractor countersued and named individuals in the lawsuit. The court then reviewed the case and dismissed the case. There's no action, nothing in the legal documents, any action that happened that occurred that was illegal. It was baseless in a frivolous lawsuit, and it was dismissed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Thank you for that minute back, by the way.
You're welcome.
All right, our next question was for Scott Sanford. You have a 10-year tenure serving in the Texas House. Your words and actions were significantly influenced by partisan political realities in Austin. As mayor of McKinney, you would have no official political party affiliation and would be responsible for stewarding the interests of every citizen and all worldviews and political beliefs represented by the people of McKinney. How do you believe your legislative experience and voting record in all these areas have prepared you to address McKinney's specific challenges? And can you provide examples where your decisions have directly benefited our community in its entirety?
Absolutely. Working in the House, I had a lot of great memories. A lot of life-changing relationships were built. And I'll say that some of the interactions that I had and that I love the most were those other representatives from other parts of the state with completely different backgrounds than myself, completely different outlooks than I have, completely different policy positions that I have. And I felt like I grew as a person because of those interactions and because of the relationships that were built. As a matter of fact, there were many times that we were able to work together on policies to get over the finish line for the benefit of all Texans. But one particular story stands out because it started here in McKinney. It started in MISD. My wife and I were both mentors in the REACH mentor program. We both had a boy and a girl. They were twins. Shelley had the girl as her mentee, and they were in fourth grade, and this was about, 8 years ago. And we got to know them a little bit. They were assigned to us because their father was about to die from cancer. And sure enough, the father did pass away, and we walked them through that grieving process. But then a little further along in the year, CPS came and got the kids. The principal called us and told us that. The family just had a bad day, nothing major or physically injurious. But they took those kids, fourth graders, to foster homes in DeSoto in separate foster homes, and they had to take the STAR test the next day, and Shelley and I were pulling our hair out because we knew that if it were legal, they would have come to our house where they could have stayed in their school and in their community where they had a great support system. Well, we came up with a bill called the Foster Bill, and it marries the idea of a foster and a hostel. And now it's legal for a safe home in the community to be able to house those kids for 2 weeks while their CPS is doing their investigation.
Thank you, sir. This question is from Mr. Willingham. Mr. Willingham, active participation in local elections is often seen as a reflection of one's commitment to the community and its governance. Reports indicate that you did not vote in some recent elections. Given your absence from the voter rolls in some recent elections, how do you address concerns given your engagement with McKinney's civic processes, and what assurances can you provide to voters about your dedication to the responsibilities of mayor?
Yeah, so I, just like 90% of McKinney residents, sometimes ignore local issues. And I have to take ownership for that. That's my failing to do what I need to do. Oh, you don't want me to take ownership?
If you're going to boo, then boo. Okay. All right. Let's be real, folks. If you're going to react, don't react sheepishly. If you're going to boo somebody, boo them. If you're going to cheer, then cheer. Come on now. We're going to give you some time back for that.
And I often use excuses. I have 5 children. I own 2 businesses. I have a bunch of employees. And I use that as excuses. Oh, well, I just can't worry about those issues because I'm dealing with that. But those are some of my biggest concerns of when I was running is, well, I haven't been as involved in the political side of things. Now I'm extremely involved on the judicial side. I represent children all the time in different issues that are going on in the city. I represent elderly people in the community when I'm trying to help them qualify for Medicaid. I focus on different areas. But at the end of the day, I have to take ownership for it because there are times that I didn't show up at the polls to vote, and I should have. And so to that, that is something absolutely I need to do better on.
Thank you, sir.
And then Dr. Rostami. Running for political office is a serious commitment that requires focus and consistency. Having launched 3 political campaigns in just as many years, some voters question your motivation and long-term dedication to your candidacies. What do you say to those voters who view your 3rd campaign as a sign of political opportunism rather than a sustained commitment to serving McKinney?
That's actually a good question. That's actually a fair question. It is funny, though, that he gets hit for not voting enough. I get hit for running too much. But, they're just going to find a way to get you, right? But no, it is a fair question. It is a fair question. Because, last time I ran, to me, winning is important, obviously, but what's also important is the issues you bring at hand. Thank you. When I ran for State Board of Education, the last one, I ran on the platform of educate, don't indoctrinate, because I didn't like some of the stuff that was happening in the schools, and I thought it was important to bring it to attention. Now, I lost, but I did get third place in Collin County, and I did get around 20% of the vote, which did push the race into a runoff. And then as the runoff was going on, I saw Pam Little's signs with a new logo on it, educate, not indoctrinate. And I'm like, well, I guess there was some impact after all. People like some of my ideas. So I think it's important for us to all be involved with the election process. It really breaks my heart when I see incumbents run unopposed. Like, it really bothers me. So I would encourage more people just to run and put their name on the ballot. Now, the race you guys probably know me the most about, because the last one, to be honest, for the Board of Education, I didn't attend to any of the events. I didn't go to any of the debates. And that was on me. I took that for granted. I didn't think it was important. But that's why I'm here today, trying to talk to you guys directly about all this. But the one you guys know me the most was when I ran against Angela Paxson in the Republican primary. That was contentious. It was tough. We were heading at each other really bad. But, after the election, we decided to come work together. I've been working with her office on some bills on prior authorization. She just introduced one. I've been working closely with her office. And we're going to try to get healthcare more accessible to all the patients here in Collin County and the entire state. So yes, winning is important. But really what matters is, why are you running? Are you running just so you can be the senator, be the board member? No. I'm running because there's things I care about, and it doesn't matter how many times I have to. I mean, look how much of a conversation I've changed just in this race alone. That's why I like to put my name on the ballot. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Cox, your involvement in the Gateway Project has drawn both attention and criticism over the years. Many residents are still seeking clarity on what happened, why it mattered, and what was learned. Can you walk us through your perspective on the Gateway Project, including your role, what went wrong, and what lessons you've taken from that experience that would shape how you govern as mayor?
Yes. So in 2008, this development was a very complex development with a lot of different parties involved. The city, the MEDC, the contractor out of California, with a large-scale development in an area that was really hard to get to. This is, again, the northeast corner of 75 in 121. Access due to some TxDOT routing of roads was really hard to get to, so we were limited on who would put something together for the site. So it was really complicated. So one lesson learned was you have to be open-minded and learn how to deal with many different people. Once the lawsuit started, it became really important that the city have a position in the lawsuit or in the original agreement where they could reclaim or gain access to the assets that we had, the land. Fortunately, our attorneys put that in there. So that's another lesson learned, that you need to make sure that you have coverage on your asset if you have one to reclaim. Communication and transparency is important, as it always is, even more so now. That whole question has been addressed numerous times. Not something I've ever run from. We'll always answer the questions. Even after today, I'll be glad to answer the questions. But the lessons learned: dot your I's and cross your T's.
Dr. Rostami, do you want to chime in?
Bill, I briefly read into the case, and they say that you told the developers that they have to give $50,000 to the Veterans Fund for this project to go through, and there's a copy of the check. Now, what do you say to these type of allegations?
There is a copy of a check. There was a donation written to the Vietnam Veterans Fund. It did not come from the result of a meeting with any elected official in McKinney. It came from the decision the developer from California made on their own as a sign of goodwill coming to McKinney. And that announcement was made in December of 2008 at the groundbreaking. That was a decision that the contractor made on their own.
Bill, just to be clear,
Yeah.
this is a perfect opportunity to get you on the record because there's a lot of rumors on this one particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of accusations have been leveled at you personally that you personally were involved in an inducement, that there was corruption, there was unethical behavior. We've all seen the comments all over the place. You want to state emphatically that you were not personally involved in that $50,000 check, that you were not personally involved in any inducement or pay-to-play scandal.
100% not involved.
Listen, I don't think it's necessary to boo him. You know, you can all just go online and take a look yourself, not from the comments section, okay? Because I've been a victim of that myself, but like actual like news articles and make your own judgment about that.
I will make one point of order. A blog written in 2016 is not a credible news source. Because I don't know who wrote that blog, but my word, that blog has gotten some legs, folks. So,
James, do you support Bill Cox by any chance? I mean, man, you are really showing some love
No.
here. What was that point of order? Am I going to get some point of order soon?
no?
No? Okay.
Would you like
All
a point of, if anybody is treating you unfairly, me and Fred will be the first
I
ones to tell
wasn't
you.
treating Bill
So,
unfairly. I just said what I read.
I didn't say anything about
All
that.
right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
Do you guys know the blog I'm referring to? Yeah, thank you. Moving on. Where are we at here? All right. Mr. Sanford, you're next. Okay, there we go. I don't know why I said Mr. Sanford twice. It's reading off a page in front of 300 people is kind of challenging sometimes. During your time in the Texas House, you supported legislation aimed at limiting cities' ability to raise property taxes. That's an issue that gets a lot of play. Efforts that were popular with taxpayers but created budgetary challenges for local governments, which we are now seeing, even here in McKinney, with recent announcements made about big cuts to ISDs and teachers' aides and whatnot. Now, as a candidate for mayor, you'll be responsible for managing the very revenue stream that you once voted to constrain. Given your legislative record of voting to limit cities' ability to raise property taxes, how do you plan to responsibly manage McKinney's budget, knowing that property taxes are the city's largest source of revenue?
When I was in the state legislature, I had the opportunity to go out in the community at different places, different groups, and one of the ones that I found the most fun would be elementary school kids around like fourth grade. And I would go into those classrooms and we'd talk, and then we get to the time of asking questions. And I would ask them a question. I'd say, who do you think my boss is? And somebody would say, the president. And then somebody else would say, the governor. But a really smart kid would always chime in and say, your wife. And I'd say, no, it's you. You're my constituents. And I'd share what constituent means. And I would say, it's your parents who vote. You are the bosses. And that's who I answer to. That's who I'm accountable to. So that's why I voted for the taxpayer. I voted for the bosses. I bet there are a lot of bosses in this room right now. And you'd much rather have a lower tax than a higher tax. And as mayor, I will continue to work as hard as I can to keep your property taxes low.
All right. Anyone want to chime in? No? All right. Okay. Well, then here we go. Mr. Willingham, leadership at the local level often grows from a foundation of civic involvement, whether through elected office, city boards, commissions, or community initiatives. Your critics point to a lack of such engagement prior to this campaign. And in the previous question, you said, that you own that. How do you respond to concerns about your limited history of participation in local governance? And what experience or perspective do you bring that qualifies you to lead McKinney as mayor?
So on the part of local governments, well, there's many places where people serve, not just in politics. I've spent most of my time in the scouting program, helping young men, helping the elderly with qualifying for Medicaid, doing things that are not, political appointments where you have a position or a title or something like that. In the context of why I have kind of put my hat into the race to run is I'm not a political person. I'm a business person. I I work outside of this realm. I don't really understand a lot of the inner workings that go on. One of my biggest issues has been trust. Our society functions on trust. All relationships do. When we do not have trust, this system does not work. And I know that if I'm going to serve in any function, it is not fun. It has to be a service that's going to be difficult, that you cannot financially gain from. I'm not taking any money from anybody. I've been offered money. I've said no. I'm paying for this myself because I want people to know you can trust me. I'm not asking people for any kind of favors or anything along the way. I learned this when I was a missionary. I went to the Philippines. I lived in a third world country. I didn't have air conditioning for 2 years. I bathed with a bucket. I sweated every day, and I paid to do that because I learned through that process, if you are going to serve, it is going to be difficult, and you cannot financially gain from that position. And that's my pledge to you. I will not. I do this because I'm trying to help, because I see what is about to happen, and I know how to fix it.
Anything, guys? I learned something new tonight. That's really cool. Seriously. Okay, Dr. Matt, you're up. And this is the last of our questions. And, you know, I'm doing some basic math here. We're going to call an audible. You guys are each going to get an additional minute in your closing statements. So make it 2 full minutes instead of the 1 we originally planned for. Everybody good with that? Okay, cool. Dr. Rostami, voters expect their mayor to have a clear grasp on how local government functions, from budgeting and city operations to the sources of funding that keeps essential services running. Concerns have been raised about your familiarity with some of these details. As a specific example, I'll cite a social media post where you questioned some projects funded by McKinney's Community Development Corporation and stated that, and I quote here, "As mayor, I think this is something worth looking at," when CDC is not under the direct authority of the mayor in any way. And for reference, since 1996, the CDC has funded more than $225 million of projects that go directly for the benefit of the citizens of McKinney, and its scope and charter is governed by the state law as a Type B corporation. Here's your question. That's the longest preamble to a question ever.
I wonder
apologize.
why. It's like I'm being targeted, but go ahead, yes.
Well, half of that, I know you like specific examples, so I figured
Yes.
half the paragraph should give you a specific example so you can refute me in your time if you'd like.
Long question. All right.
How do you address concerns that your understanding of how McKinney's local government is funded and operates, and what steps have you taken to prepare yourself to effectively lead on day one?
You know, it's funny, he's pulling comments out of Facebook when he just said a few minutes ago, you can't trust a random blog when it comes to another candidate. Really interesting.
Your words, sir. Your words.
But as far as, it's funny, he's saying that I addressed what the CDC does, and it says, as mayor, I'll look into it. It's ridiculous. I mean, we all understand, like, when Trump was campaigning, when he said no tax on tips, we all understood, like, he can't do it himself, right? Like, we knew he meant he's going to work with Congress. Like, when Harris stole his idea and she started saying the same thing, we kind of understood she meant she's going to have to work with Congress. Obviously, I didn't mean, like, I'm going to go in there and just change the stuff in the CDC. In fact, in the post that he mentioned, I specifically put in the picture, that the CDC was voted on by city voters in 1993. So clearly, if you want to change anything, it has to go back to the voters. So to take like what I said out of context and claim I don't understand the city is completely ridiculous. Now, I have issues with how the CDC and the EDC, what they're using the money on, And a lot of people don't even understand how it works. We have 2% sales tax. 1% goes into the general fund. The other 1% is split between EDC and CDC. And some of the stuff they do is good. It goes to the capital projects. I'm fine with that. But some of the stuff goes to the Craig Ranch to repair water erosion for $1.6 million. And why? Have them pay for it themselves. The price for the Byron Nelson tournament is $9.6 million. Make it $8 million. They'll still come. They'll still grow. So that's not the issue here. The issue is they're taking things, what I say, out of context. Now, I understand. A lot of them are just haters, and a lot of them just have a problem with me, so they try to like make it like I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the sales taxes or how the tax system works. Are you kidding me? I'm a retina surgeon. You know how many years of school I've done? I speak 5 languages. I started my own business. You don't think I understand how this stuff works? And for my haters, my first act when I become mayor is I'm going to deport you all to Garland. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, guys. There's not enough space in Garland. That was a joke.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. Wow. I feel like that deserves a slow clap, people. All right, gentlemen. I believe we're ready for closing statements. Am I correct? Yeah? Oh, yep. It's the last page. I guess we're time for closing statements. Okay, we did Sanford, Rostami, Cox, Willingham on the opening statement. So, Mr. Willingham, you are up first, sir. You have 2 minutes.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know all of you wanted to stay and read the JFK files, but thank you for coming out here and joining us and learning about our visions for where we see McKinney going. I want you to understand that there are solutions to the problems that we will face as a city. We will be able to deal with them and we can get through them. There are a lot of beautiful, wonderful things that are happening in this world right now that are going to make our future wonderful and bright. This city has been one of the greatest stories in the area. I came here in 2009, like I said earlier. We didn't have a job, and you probably all know him. When we were moving into our house, Roger Rainey showed up and was the one that moved us in. We didn't know one person in this whole city. There are so many people that along the way have helped me and my business. So many people that came along. We don't have family in the area. We didn't have anything else. We had 2 little kids in tow with my wife. And it was people in this community that made it possible for me to start a business, get it going. And there are people in this audience that I have seen that were instrumental in helping my business grow. I'm so grateful for this community. But it is that type of community that makes a city wonderful. And I believe we can continue to have that wonderful atmosphere that we have here, and we can continue to do that. If things do get very difficult for people, we will have to be there for one another. And I see a future that we can make that happen. I hope that you will look at my platform and give me a shot and consider me to be your mayor of McKinney.
Mr. Cox, 2 minutes.
Thank you. So why? What's the why part? Well, everyone has a why. If you haven't figured out your why, you're behind. So here's my why in 1 minute and 12 seconds. When you walk into the Meals on Wheels building and you watch them prepare meals for seniors every day, and when you walk in Life Path Systems and watch them perform the mental health services every day, you'll start to get it. And when you serve on the Chamber of Commerce as the Board of Directors president, you understand what small business is, and you understand how that organization helps small businesses. And when you sit in a McKinney Rotary Club meeting and you're the third in your family to be the president, you start to get what it's about. That's an organization that sends medical supplies to people that need medical supplies. And when you sit in a CASA meeting and watch what they deal with on a regular basis, you'll start to understand what this is about. Don't let this story, this story that's not true, distract you from what's real. There is no way that I would embarrass my family by doing the things they've said I did. There is no way. That would never happen. That would never happen. I have gone and given with time, talent, and resources to this city. That's what I am, is McKinney. My name is Bill Cox, and I'm running for mayor of my hometown, McKinney, Texas.
Dr. Rostami, you have 2 minutes, sir.
So again, an extra minute, so I want to leave you with something of this, is that one of my most prized possessions is a 5th edition of the Second Treatise of Government by John Locke, printed in 1764. It's very important to me. In it, John Locke talks about natural rights, how it comes from God, and that the government is not supposed to infringe upon it, it's supposed to protect it. And that's why I tell you, I'll never order a lockdown of this city. I'll never shut your businesses down, because I believe that you should be free to walk on God's green earth with no restrictions. And that's what I believe. That is my fundamental belief of philosophy when it comes to government. They talk a lot about growth, but you really need to ask yourself, what does growth mean? What's going to grow is going to be the bank accounts of all these developers. That's what's going to grow. It's going to grow because the entire political establishment has come behind them, and they're trying to shove all these things down our throats. They're trying to shove the airport down our throats, shove the amphitheater down our throats, shove the surf park down our throats, shove Cox down our throats. But we're not gonna. What? What?
That's Bill Cox, not anatomy.
Exactly.
Folks. Calm down.
Exactly.
You're good.
Yeah. Come on, guys. What's with you people? All right, so
Let him speak,
you guys
please.
got me distracted. So, what I'm trying to say is that they're going to grow, and they're going to get government grants. They're going to get subsidies from the city, loans from the city that's forgivable. Where does all that money come from? It's your money. It's your tax dollars. And that's what that is. They will grow by eating you. And slowly, they'll destroy what makes this city unique by nature. So I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for you to stand with me now so I can stand with you later and preserve your way of life. My name is Dr. Matt Rostami. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you tonight.
Mr. Sanford, why don't you finish us off, sir? 2 minutes.
Thank you, and thank all of you for being a part of tonight. It has been a great pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. I mentioned earlier that I feel like that McKinney's at this place of great opportunity, right on the edge of it. But for us to be able to enjoy and capitalize on this great opportunity that we see, and I'll remind you what that is. That's to embrace the vitality of the new and retaining the charm of the old. Remember, loving your neighbor still needs to be cool in McKinney. But to get there, we need an effective relationship between government and the citizens. To make it effective, I believe we're at a place where we need to amp up our communications, amp up our transparency. How do we do that? We have to engage hard as a government under my leadership. We will listen intently, and we will respect the will of the voters. Now, already we're practicing that with our campaign. You can find my phone number on our website. As a matter of fact, we could get started right now. If you'll just take out your phones and text Sanford to 77007, we'll keep you involved. We'll keep you informed about the status of our campaign until the end of the election. And if I have the privilege of being elected, you'll enjoy the same weekly updates straight to your phone by texting Sanford to 77007. But more importantly than this campaign and this election, we love McKinney. We love each other. And this election will be over in a couple of months, and we'll need to come together. There are a lot of places we could live, but we choose to live right here because we love it here, and we would be nowhere else. I'm Scott Sanford, and I'm running for mayor. God bless.
All right, let's hear it one more time for all of our candidates for your next mayor that is up here. We want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, and we have two details. One, don't forget that the after party is over at the Celt. So it's right over there. If you're not familiar where it is, ask your neighbor, they'll tell you. And to make sure to mark your calendars for April 8th, when we'll be back here for the City Council debates. Thank you so much on behalf of James, myself, and the Young Republicans. Have a good evening.